Hey, it's Dan Olds, and we are here to unveil the teams for the SC17 Student Cluster Competition at SC17 in Denver. I'm joined by I guess, what would you call yourself? Steve, are you the overall committee chair for the SC competition?
Yes, I'm the Student Cluster Competition Chair at SC17.
I guess I should probably introduce you by your full name, Steve Harrell, who's been involved in student clustering competitions since they began in 2007.
That's not true.
Well, then we go ahead and modify that. He's been involved for a long time, maybe not since 2010. Okay, well, that's still a long time. I mean, that's 7 years, and this is your second year controlling the entire process.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's been a lot of fun, right?
That's one word for it. It's been a lot of work, but it's been important work. It's rewarding. Absolutely.
It really is. It's so much fun to be involved in this stuff. Well, let's jump in and let's start talking about the teams. First one up, from Germany, two teams combined together, mashed together with duct tape and probably, knowing German, some sort of metal strapping. Friedrich Alexander University of Erlangen and TUC, which is the Technical University of Munich, Germany. We've seen these teams before.
Yes, we have. We've seen them both before. And so it's nice to see them join together for this competition.
It is, and kind of an interesting system they're going to be bringing. It's one of these two-node, up to 16 GPU HP boxes.
Yeah, it looks like a beast. It looks like they're gonna bring 12 Voltas from NVIDIA and just stick them in two machines. It looks like each machine can hold 8 GPUs.
Yep.
And it's going to be about half a terabyte of memory on both, and with InfiniBand. But interestingly, they're not having a switch, so they're just going to connect the EDR together, one to the other.
It's a good move. That's a good move. Save some watts. We'll see how these things do. Now, FAU took the Linpack crown at ISC with a system very close to this. No Voltas, but pretty much the same system. So
yeah,
that looks.
I think they're going to be the team to beat on HPL with the Voltas, especially.
And who doesn't want a good HPL war? We love that.
Right.
Next one up is Georgia Institute of Technology, and another new configuration for us. We're seeing the first of the IBM Minsky systems.
Yep. So they're bringing two 10-core Power 8s. In each node, and 4 P100 GPUs.
Now, is it P's or V's?
It's P's. So
okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure why one would get one or the other. Obviously, the Voltas are better, but it looks like that they're proposing V100s. If they somehow get a hold of some V100s, we won't hold it against them.
I don't think they'd be too shy about sporting those if they had the chance. Interesting thing about this system that's different from what we typically see from the Intel boxes is this has that NVLink protocol.
It does.
NVLink connector. And that's 80 gigabytes per second full duplex between GPUs, which is quite a bit faster than the 35 gigabytes per second you'll see from PCI.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Now, it's too bad that they don't have the next system, which is going to be 300 gigabytes per second with NVLink.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. But I think they'll do pretty well with this system.
I do too. Looking forward to seeing it. I like to see the different architectures in here. So who's up next? Well, hey, it is Team Boston, the MGH PCC Green team. And they've been around for quite a few years in these competitions.
They absolutely have. I think they've been around at least for 6 or 7 years, if not longer.
Yeah, I've also seen them in China and in Germany before, I believe, too. Definitely China, not positive about Germany. Looks like they're coming in with kind of your standard Intel box, but they're coming in with only 2 nodes.
Yep, 2 nodes of some Haswells with 8 NVIDIA GPUs. I assume that's going to be P100s from the memory size. And a terabyte of RAM, which is
That's a lot. That is a lot. That's the most RAM I think we've ever seen in the competition. They're also going to be sporting a 1.2 terabyte PCI NVE SSD, if that's not enough acronyms, for the main system drive, which should give them some pretty good performance there.
Yeah, absolutely. For the IO heavy workloads, that will be nice.
But if we're talking 2 nodes, why do they have 4 PLX switches? Any thoughts on that?
No, not really.
Well, they're going. I mean, they're going to be doing some RDMA, which is pretty cool. But
that's absolutely true.
I didn't think they'd need that many switches, but maybe they're thinking that more switches, more better in terms of the IO.
Maybe they're bonding in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the next up is one of my favorite teams, the kids from Nan Yang in Singapore. It's a team that I've always had a lot of fun with, and they're a team that is poised to get into the elite bracket. They did pretty well at ISC, and they're coming loaded for bear. Got a super micro big system, looks like 2 nodes again, and bringing both 8 Tesla V100s and 8 Tesla P100s. Not to be used at the same time, because that alone would take them over the power budget.
Indeed. Well, I think they want probably a little extra oomph over the 8. And as probably most people know, that the Voltas are sometimes hard to get a hold of. So
yes,
I would imagine that's what's going on.
Yeah, and I would expect to see them finish pretty well when it comes to LinPack. They've been doing, they were second or third in LinPack at ISC, and it looks to me from the competition, from the configuration, that's what they're probably going for.
Yeah, I would agree. But, you know, the V100s will still do pretty well on some of the applications that we have this year. So I think it can still be competitive.
You know, that's kind of an interesting point. Is it used to be in cluster competitions that you had GPU applications and non-GPU applications, and the bulk kind of tended to be non-GPU applications, but these days, pretty much, well, I don't know for sure pretty much, but a much larger number of applications have GPU variants of them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we have lamps for the reproducibility application this year. That's definitely GPU enabled. I think Mr. Bays does have a GPU.
Call me Mr. Bays. That's what I like.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you know, I think there's a lot of applications in general that are moving that way.
I mean, it's not really a question of. I don't think that a team can win a competition these days without some sort of accelerator.
No, I wouldn't imagine that that's possible.
Yeah.
But I've been wrong before, so you know, I wouldn't say that for sure. But definitely, the accelerators have been kind of taking the field in the last few years.
I think it would be hard to select 3 or 4 applications, well-known applications that didn't have GPU variants for them.
Yeah, I agree. So, you know, in that case, I would just select applications that aren't well known.
Throw everybody a curve.
That's right.
Well, let's move on to our pals from National Tsinghua University in Taiwan. This is another old school team. They've been around and coming to competitions, I believe, since the first one or the second one.
It was the first one. I'm almost positive they've been around since 2007.
and they've had their share of wins as well. Not so much in the later period, but coming on strong. They're coming in with a CPU-based, Intel Xeon-based cluster. So let's take a look and see what they're coming in with. Looks like about an 8-node or 5-node system. Looking to accelerate that with some P100s and V100s. We'll see what they use. InfiniBand.
This is our first Skylake system, actually.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yep. Everything else has been.
The Intel Xeon Gold 6130 processor, and that has a turbo frequency up to 3.7 gigahertz.
Yeah.
With 16 cores, that's a damn good turbo.
Something that is slightly surprising is they only have FDR InfiniBand.
Let me see that. Yeah.
A faster InfiniBand.
Especially a 5-node system.
Yeah.
We'll see what they end up bringing, because I could imagine it would not be hard for them to get to EDR with a call to Mellanox. Mellanox is extremely generous with their stuff.
Yeah, and they're welcome to change those types of things out. Absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting. So let's see. Next up, we have Northeastern University. It's another team that's been here several times, and I'm just looking at their configuration now. What do they got?
This system is the only AMD EPYC system that's going to be on the floor this year.
Oh, really?
Yep. So they're bringing Naples processors, 2.4 gigahertz, the 7351, 16 cores.
Okay. And now is this Ryzen? Or Ryzen? Is this that Ryzen generation stuff?
It is Ryzen generation. EPYC is the server version of Ryzen that hasn't been released yet. I think these will hopefully have been released by the time we are on the floor, but that is something that I might need to check.
Oh, they're going all AMD. They got a couple of Radeons.
Yep, and they did that last year. And actually, I'll be honest, I was slightly skeptical about them bringing Radeons last year, but they put in a solid workload with those things.
Yeah. The Radeons are nothing to laugh at, and same with the Ryzen.
Yep.
These systems can scream.
So they're bringing 4 nodes and 256 gigs of RAM, and they are bringing 100 gig InfiniBand.
That's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can live with that. So next up, let's take a look at Peking University. And they wrote, that's a very nicely written proposal, by the way, hardware proposal. Looking at how many nodes on this? If it were nicely written, I should be able to figure that out right away, except I'm a little slow today. Just coming back off a trip to Spain, and I'm still not sure what time zone I'm in. So what are we looking at here, Steve?
I'm looking.
I'm looking too.
I'm not sure they tell us.
It looks like 2 nodes with 10 GPUs.
Yeah,
that's 2 nodes.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, Supermicro. We've got a couple of people that are basing their systems on this Supermicro platform.
Sure.
And yeah, so 2 nodes. Okay. Got some SSDs, PCIe SSDs. That's nice. Got some memory. That's always good.
And they're bringing the Voltas again.
They are bringing the Voltas.
Yep. That'll be very competitive this year.
Now, these guys did a really good job last year optimizing the IBM Power Box. I think they came in third or 4th overall, which was a surprise with a new architecture, new system that they didn't really know anything about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't think we can, you can't look past them on this.
No.
Now, speaking of IBM Power, we have next up the San Diego State University and who they coupled with Southwestern Oklahoma State University, and
That's
they're
right.
bringing some power.
They are bringing some power.
They're bringing maybe too much power. They got a whole bunch of systems that they're talking about here.
They do.
It'll be interesting to see what they end up with, but they're going to be bringing, like the other power team, they've got the Minsky from IBM. They also have a storage server, head node, like 3 compute nodes. It's going to be a little tough to get that underneath the power limit.
Yeah, I think it's a little untypical that we'd see an actual separate storage or head node. To conserve energy, most of the time teams will just run the same type, the things that you would run on a head node or the things you would run on a storage node on their compute nodes just to maximize.
I think that's where they'll probably end up.
Yeah, I bet they will too.
Yeah, and that'll be good. There's going to be some learning. Learning will take place, Steve.
I think learning always takes place. So one way or the other, right?
One way or another. Next up is a team that doesn't need any introduction, yet we'll introduce them anyway. Tsinghua from China. Now, these guys, I don't know if you know this, Steve, but they are looking to complete their second Triple Crown.
I am aware that they are looking to three-peat.
They are looking to basically what that means is that they've won the other 2 major competitions this year. And if they win at SC, this will be only the second time in history that a team has won all 3 major competitions. And they did it before in 2015.
They sure did. I was there. I couldn't believe it. They're a great team.
Yes.
They're smart and prepared. I have to say, at least in 2015, they were one of they impressed me quite a bit with their preparation.
One of the things that impressed me, I was on the judging squad for this last year at ISC, is when I went to their booth, rather than me having to ask them questions and, how'd you do this, how'd you do that, and what's your speed up on this, what's your speed up on that, they had a presentation prepared that walked me right through it. And I would highly recommend all the teams to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But these guys are kind of the Harvard of China. And I guess we shouldn't expect anything less.
That's right.
Next one up, USTC, that's the University of Science and Technology, China, who are the champions from SC16, returning to defend their crown. Absolutely.
Something interesting about this configuration is they're bringing FPGAs.
I saw that. They've got a total of 8 Xilinx cards. That's going to be interesting. The thing that I wonder about with these, I've been telling teams they got to investigate FPGAs for years. But if they can get these cards to idle at really low wattage, they could have a separate personality on each card or each group of cards that's aligned with the applications.
It would be some very interesting preparation if they were able to get that done. And I think it could be very, very competitive.
It could be a shocking system. I mean, it could be something that comes out of nowhere. And you've got to respect these guys because they spent a few years sort of in the second echelon and edged their way up and finally got the big win this last year.
Yep, they did. And this year they're bringing Voltas as well. So I can't imagine them not being very competitive with their past experience as well as with the configuration that they have.
Yeah. Another team that, used to dominate back in the day, University of Texas. And they're matched up with Texas State University. University of Texas was the first team to three-peat at SC. And what was interesting is that they last won at SC14. And if you remember, on those 3 teams before, they really didn't use accelerators at all. They were going with traditional clusters.
That was during the transition. And I think at 14, it was kind of an upset because by 2014, GPUs had been firmly entrenched in HPC at that point, and I think it was quite interesting to see that they were able to win without accelerators.
Yeah,
I imagine that
surprise.
will be the last win without accelerators.
I think so too, and I think that in 14 they had sort of a magical, perfect storm of the right applications and some damn good tuning to win.
I agree.
They've not seen that kind of success since, but we will see. It looks like they've got a good system here. Looks like they're going, let's see, got a head node and 9 compute nodes.
Yeah. And they're going Platinum Skylake too.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting decision.
But they're still going to try and shoehorn in 6 to 8 NVIDIA P100s. And they'll be swapped out with V100s.
Yeah. So I guess they're going to kind of decide based on power and the output of the apps on which one to do.
Yeah, and they're saying in here that they'll, worst case 5 nodes, probably end up going with 8 nodes with some spares. I mean, you could build another cluster. You could build another competitive cluster out of their spares.
Yeah, that's true. But, if they have one break down, they won't need to worry about it, right?
Yes. Next team up was one that really surprised us last year. They were hometown in Salt Lake City, University of Utah.
Yeah, they came in second overall last year at their first year ever attending the student cluster competition, which quite honestly is amazing.
That was shocking. It was a close second too. It wasn't a distant second.
No, it was not. Actually, the top 3 contestants were grouped very close together.
Yeah. They're going to be bringing in a 4-node Dell-based system, Broadwell CPUs, 14-core Broadwell CPUs. And
no, actually, well, so they actually have 2 hardware configurations there. That's what they have in their data center today. Okay. And then what they have on order, hopefully, that they'll get is actually Skylake and V100. So they kind of put both at my behest.
That's a good move. But we know for sure if they're going to get that stuff. We hope, right?
Yeah, I think it's just more about, shipping dates and things like that. As putting on my advisor hat, that's going to be hard to do. Getting people to send you hundreds of thousands of dollars in free hardware for a bunch of undergrads to work on. It's not always the simplest procedure.
And to do it according to schedule.
Yep, it's hard. And every advisor who's ever done this knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes. And as the cluster competition historian, I've witnessed this.
Yep.
Next team up is going to be brand new to the SC competition, but I met them at the Asia competition this year. It's a team from Warsaw.
Oh, sure.
And I got to tell you, these guys are great. They're great kids. They're funny, love to talk. We did some great videos there, and they surprised the world in Asia by coming in second in LINPAC.
Oh, wow. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, first-time team, first-time clustering. They're from different universities, and they did a great job.
Yeah, there's 3 universities represented, actually, which makes their name relatively long, but it's very cool.
All of their names are relatively long, but that's okay. And they're going to be great to have. You're going to love meeting these kids. And they learned a lot in this competition, in the last competition.
Well, that's great. I know we're excited to have them. Definitely, it's the first time that we have seen a Polish team at SC. So that's exciting for us to kind of be hitting new markets, if you will.
Next team, this I believe is the first all high school team to compete in the Big Iron competition at SC. William Henry Harrison High School. How'd they get? Right. What's the story behind them?
So because that I work at Purdue, Purdue is not allowed to take a team, but we have a very someone at Purdue who loves to advise teams, Lev Gorenstein, and he decided that he was going to go off and do his own team that was not from Purdue. So
and mold them. And Lev is great. He's going to mold them the Lev way.
Oh yeah, and he. I think his some of his children go to the high school, so I think he had an in there and just kind of took it from there. So, I think it's a great experience. We've always said we accepted high school teams, but this is the first one that has really taken us up on the offer. Although there is another high school team with
coupled with a college, coupled with a university.
That's right.
Yeah, but this is going to be amazing. What's the average age of this team? It's got to be under 18, right? Probably 17 or 16?
Yeah, I would imagine 16 or 17.
That is impressive. It looks like they have a good cluster coming in.
Oh yeah. I think they're bringing some a regular Intel machine, but they're going to bring V100s and and some EDR InfiniBand.
Looks like 2 nodes.
Half terabyte RAM.
2-node system? Yeah, 2-node system.
It does look like
it's competitive.
I agree.
It should be competitive. Well, that's great. It's great to see the younger kids get into this. And Lev's a good advisor for them.
He really is. And as an aside, and in my research organization, we're excited to try and get some of those kids to come to Purdue and then work for us and do all of our work for us, so we can just sit around and laugh.
So you're recruiting them, essentially.
Oh yeah, always
recruiting, trying to get the talent in there.
That's right.
Very cool. So let's see. The last team we have to talk about is University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana, or Urbana-Champaign, as they call it now. I'm old school, though. Right. It's always going to be Champaign-Urbana to me. So 2 nodes.
2 nodes, 2 Dell nodes, some Intel processors. They have 4 P100s per node, quarter terabyte of RAM, and some FDR InfiniBand.
I'm looking at the power estimation for it, and they're showing a total of 2914 watts. It's like they configured this to be under 3,000 watts, as opposed to configuring to be over and then figuring that they throttle things down. I'm not positive about that approach.
Yeah, typically that doesn't. As someone, I brought teams personally that we've done that. When I was a
you did it in
young,
China,
naive advisor.
But I'm not even going to bring that up. The fact that you guys had a cluster in China that I think topped out at 1,700 watts, full out.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to bring that up.
No, thanks. I appreciate that. Obviously, my embarrassment is you're very kind. Not bring it up, but. So I think in general, you typically want to bring slightly over. Some people have gone a little overboard on these, but we'll see what they actually top out at as well.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and there's a good chance that they might be able to swap out the P100s for V100s.
V100s and just go higher anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make up that last bit.
The other thing too is that their CPUs top out at 3.6 gigahertz in turbo mode. So they might be using more than label power on these, more than their estimate.
Yeah, I think that's pretty possible.
Yeah. You know what we don't see this year? No liquid cooling.
Well, no, we don't. Which, I'm all about liquid cooling. I'm really glad we don't see an oil system. That's just something that I didn't want to have to make a decision on.
What, put tarps down?
Yeah, put tarps down and, have some greased up undergrad, slipping all over the place.
Oh, that was horrible. That was University of Texas back in 2013, I think. Yeah. They had an entire oil-based cooling system that they immersed these nodes in oil, and that was the nastiest stuff in the world. And what was great, I don't know if you remember watching this, Steve, but they had miscabled some things, and the cables were all going underneath the nodes as they were inserted in the liquid, so they had to pull every node and pull cables out.
I do remember that.
Oh, yeah, that was grotesque. But I'd like to see some other liquid cooling here so these people can enjoy their turbo mode more.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, I'd love to see some novel cooling solutions. Definitely there's a lot of them out there, and I think, our students could probably benefit from that. I think it's hard to get, those high-end systems to work, in such, a small environment. It's most of them are built for scale, and they make up their energy savings at scale.
Yeah,
and we just don't exist at scale in this competition, unfortunately.
Yeah, Cool IT makes a box that's self-contained that works really well for these 2 to probably 4 node configurations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they're the only one that I've seen that really does that.
Sure.
But we'll encourage them, and I know Cool IT loves to sponsor these kids. So. Yeah.
Well, let us email the committee, and we'll try and get you hooked up. Anyone who wants to sponsor any of the teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually,
you definitely do that for under vendors. So if you want to, please do.
So, Steve, that is the field. We have a bunch of teams, and this is going to be a very interesting competition. We've got different architectures, different ideas, node counts varying from 2 up to 10, I think one team is looking at. It's wide open.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's going to be a great competition. Anyone who's listening to this and is going to SC, you can come see us at booth 796 on the show floor this year. We got 16 teams and a lot to see. We can talk to you about starting a team. We can talk to you if you're interested in sponsoring a team. We can talk to you, get you information. And, I really hope that everyone will just stop by and talk to the teams, because I think that's the real fun part. Listening to how these undergrads are, learning HPC and getting into it, I think is a lot of fun.
And go by, test your knowledge against theirs. Yeah.
Indeed.
They enjoy that, and I know we enjoy that, and I'm really looking forward to this competition. I'll be there covering it like a blanket over a grandma.
That's right.
Which means very, very close. And we hope to see all of you there. And students, start clustering.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Steve. Talk to you soon.